Are you looking for the best one-shot deck in the format? Look no further. This is Gholdengo EX and it's hitting harder than ever. Gholdengo just got a massive boost thanks to the Lunatone and Solrock engine from Mega Evolutions, and in this video I'll break down the full deck list, show off the core cards, and take you through some ranked matches so you can see exactly why this deck is dominating the meta. Here's the list that I've been running, and the game plan couldn't be simpler. You use a Lunatone and Solrock early to draw cards and deal chip damage while you build up your Gholdengos. Then, once those are ready, you start one-shotting everything with the Metal Boy himself. Now, let's go over the core cards. Gholdengo is your main attacker and card draw engine. When it's active, you draw 2 cards per turn, but you can draw 1 while it's on the bench. Its Make It Rain attack discards energy for damage, meaning that it scales insanely fast once you're set up. We also have the new perfect setup duo, Lunatone and Solrock. Lunatone will draw you 3 cards each turn by discarding a fighting energy, while Solrock hits for 70 damage that ignores both weakness and resistance. As for our A spec, we're running Precious Trolley. It instantly fills our bench, and usually I end up grabbing 2 Gimmighouls, a Genesect, and whichever of Lunatone and or Solrock you're missing to get rolling fast. Now, and those 3 make up the backbone of the deck, but we've got a few key techs that round it out perfectly. We have Cramorant, the sneaky single prize attacker. It does 120 damage when your opponent has exactly 3 or 4 prizes left, which is perfect for the mid-game pivot when you don't need huge numbers or are running low on retrievals. Also great against walls like Cornerstone as well. We are running a single copy of Judge. I prefer this over Iono for consistent mid to late game draw. It's 4 guaranteed cards while disrupting your opponent's hand, and it's as clean and simple as that. We are also running Vitality Band, which is a small card, but it has an incredibly huge impact. It changes your math in a lot of scenarios. So for example, Fez's 210 HP would usually require 5 energy, but it only needs 4 if you have a Vitality Band equipped. That single energy difference can win games. Now, you can find the full deck list down in the description, along with all 3 of my playlists, the Meta Mondays, Rogue Thursdays, and my 1 month 1 deck series as well. And with that being said, on to game number 1. Alright, so the first game I'm showing you guys is against Pidgey Charizard. So this is going to be a common matchup that you guys are going to play against in the current meta if you guys do decide to play this Dango in the Rocks list. So here our opponent is setting up pretty perfectly. They're getting another Charmander down along with a Pidgey. They have double Buddy-Buddy Poffin, so they're able to pretty much set up their entire bench right here. But if you look at our hand, we also can set up our full bench because we have that Precious Trolley in hand. But we also have the Arven, so even if we didn't have the Precious Trolley in hand, we would still just use the Arven to find it. Here with the Precious Trolley, since we already got 1 Gimmighoul in the active, we're just going to grab the standard 1 Genesect, 1 of each of the rocks, and then 2 of the ghouls. That way then we are fully set up. They can't just target something down and take care of it. We already have a Gholdengo in hand. We could use the Genesect this turn too. But here we are just going through our deck, getting as many energy as we can. We are just going straight into that Lunatone, and we will be able to take the first knockout of the game. We're trying to limit how many Charmanders that they have on the field, so that way then they can't just go back-to-back Charizards without having to waste a lot more resources to get them back. So that's the reason why we were trying to be as quick and as aggressive as we were right there, so we could take those out. Here they do just promote that Charmander, so that means that they most likely have Rare Candy Charizard in their hand. And the question becomes, do they also have the Dusclops to go with it, or Rare Candy Dusknoir to go with it? Instead, they actually pivot to a Rare Candy Dusknoir instead of the Rare Candy Charizard. So here they will Curse Blast. They're getting rid of one of our Gimmighouls rather than getting rid of our Lunatone. So I do think that that's a major mistake on their part. Generally, if you're playing against this Gholdengo list and you see that they have set up multiple Gimmighouls, then that used to be the correct line. You try to limit how many Gimmighouls, but because we have such a powerful draw engine with the Lunatone, it's actually better to try to force out the Lunatones and get rid of them as quick as possible, especially this early into the matchup, So that way then you don't have to worry about them just constantly drawing 3 cards. You know that they're running 4 superior energy retrievals. Why not limit some of their card draw when you can? So if you're playing against Gholdengo and they're running the rocks, make sure that you aim down those Lunatones, people. Now then, here they did get into another rare candy with the Charizard, so they will be able to attack this turn. They take out our Solrock, and see, if they would have used the Dusknoir and taken out the Lunatone, we would have had to find 2 ways to be able to get both of those back, and that just wouldn't have been something that we could do. Yes, it does limit our card draw the way that they did it by getting rid of one of the Gimmighouls, but if we had like a Nest Ball, we would easily be able to get back a Solrock, and that would be pretty much free draw 3. Here we are just going and we're drawing as many cards as possible because we have to see a specific number of energy this turn to actually make it work. So here we do have the Earthen Vessel. I'm just counting in my head how many energy do I really need. I could discard one of these fightings to the Earthen Vessel. We're going to get 2. We're most likely going to need that superior energy retrieval, but instead I get rid of the Lunatone. We still have 1 on the bench. We don't really need 2 in this situation. If we get into another Solrock, we already have 1 Lunatone on the bench. There's no real reason to keep 2. Here, we are just going to Earthen Vessel away this Fighting Gong and get our final 2 energy out of our deck. That puts us at 7 energy, which is just enough to knock out this Charizard. So we are able to one-shot it and take 2 prizes. And most notably, our opponent does not have a Charmander on the field. Because we took that early knockout with a Solrock, we were able to take away one of their Charmanders, leaving them only with that single one. Here they do hit us with a Iono, but we pretty much have everything that we need in our hand, and they actually Iono us into a superior energy retrieval, which is fantastic. We also have this Turo, which we could use if need be as well, in case they try to like counter catcher or boss up the Genesect or the Lunatone to try to retreat lock us for a turn. Here we top deck into a Fighting Gong. So first we're going to use the Genesect. That shuffles our deck and takes a brick out of it. And then we will do the draw 2 from the active Gholdengo, and then we'll do the draw 1 from the bench Gholdengo. So just like that, our hand is back up to 7 cards. And then here with the Super Rod, we will be putting back the Solrock, the Gimmighoul, and a Fighting. And I shouldn't have put back that Solrock, but at the same time, I put it back just so I have another copy of it in case I need it as just a pivotable attacker later on. That's the whole reason why I did that. So here we did get to draw 3 because we have the rock combo on the field now, and then we will just superior energy retrieval, get 4 energy back. We will manually attach this Fighting to our other Gholdengo because they do have a Charmander on the field, so we need to plan ahead and make sure that they can't just knock out our Gholdengo and then we have no attacker for next turn other than the Solrock, and we would have to then draw into a boss in order to be able to knock out like their Duskull. But if they evolve it into a Dusclops, then we wouldn't really have a knockout. So this is how we have to play around it. Now, our opponent puts down a Charmeleon instead of the Charizard, so we know that we're not going to have to face a Charizard this turn. They do have the Ursaluna though. They used a Night Stretcher to get it back, and then they hit us with another Iono, so they're going to be able to do 240 damage to our Gholdengo. We top deck into a Judge from that Iono, which is huge. We can actually use that next turn, draw 4 cards, and then be able to draw another 3 cards just from the Gholdengos, and then draw another 3 cards from the Lunatone if we find a Fighting energy that we know are now in the deck. We just put 3 back into the deck. Here we see that they're running a pretty cool tech, the Ho-Oh, and it's really cool. I want to try it the next time that I play the Pidgeysard deck. Now, and for us, our natural top deck draw was just a Buddy-Buddy Poffin. We don't need that. We are going to thin our deck with that Artazon, just get the bird onto the field, and then we'll thin our deck a little bit more with the Genesect. Draw 2, we find a Turo plus a superior energy retrieval, And the energy retrieval is going to be clutch here. I could just use Turo. That does heal our Gholdengo. We can throw down the Gimmighoul again. And here we will be able to draw 2 cards instead of 1. We actually find the second superior energy retrieval. So that means that we now have game. Alright, so game number 2 is against Gardevoir. Well, this is the Jellicent Gardevoir variant, and while we are favored in this matchup, I don't think that we're as favored as the numbers portray. So here we are starting off with what we can. We have that Artazon. It stinks that we have to give our opponent the Artazon as well, but our hand wasn't really that good, so we needed to be able to get down that rock combo just to be able to draw some cards. Now, we passed there because our hand still isn't good. We didn't have any way of attacking, so if they're going to deal damage, we'd rather them deal it to the Iron Bundle. We do have the Turo in hand in case we need to put it back into our hand later. And here we see that they finally get down the Frillish, and they are going to item lock us. And with the way that our hand is looking, that's kind of devastating. So we are going to get down 1 Gholdengo. We're going to use this Artazon, get down another Gimmighoul, so that way then we can put down this other Gholdengo next turn. And I'm debating about just drawing a single card here, or should I draw 2? So I only draw the single. We do have the Arven now because that's what we draw into, and I'm just going to pass. Looking back, I do think that that's kind of a mistake because if I would have used the Arven, yes, it would have telegraphed that I'm adding some cards into my hand, but at the same time, it would have thinned the deck a little bit, and we could have put a Air Balloon down on our Gholdengo, so that way then we aren't item locked whenever they finally get down a Jellicent. Here we top deck into a Judge. We are going to use the Artazon again, get down our 3rd Gimmighoul, and then put down this Gholdengo. That is going to draw us a card. We draw into a Fighting Energy, which is really nice here, and it actually makes me have to think for a second. So we know that we're item locked, and we could go and risk it and try to draw a single card, see if we draw into another energy. We don't. But what we also could have done is just use the Lunatone to draw 3, but we wouldn't have been able to get that energy back. So we would have had to draw into 2 energy in order to be, or 3 energy in order to be able to take a knockout on that Frillish. Here we are just going to use that energy to attack with the Solrock. They get down their Gardevoir. They use the Artazon just to shuffle their deck, and they have the Jellicent. The jellyfish has arrived, folks. And it does 80 damage right now. They didn't want to do any more, and luckily we do have Boss. So one of the good things about is that its ability is only active while it's in the active. So we can use this Boss or use this Iron Bundle first, be able to open up a slot on our bench to be able to put down this Genesect, thin our deck a little bit more, get those Gholdengos out of there, and we are able to use our trainers this turn. So we are just going to be going through as many cards as we can right now, trying to fix up our hand as much as possible. Our opponent's down to only 2 cards in hand as well. They do have access to that Artazon, so we do have to worry about any of their other basics that could come down. They could be playing another Frillish and then item locking us next turn if they so want to. Here we are just going to use that Arven. We're going to get rid of either the Cram or the Lunatone, but I decide no, let's get rid of the Artazon. There's already an Artazon on the field, so we're not going to be able to stadium bump at any point unless they're running the new stadium. So we just get rid of that, and then we will be putting down this Air Balloon on the Genesect instead of one of our Gholdengos because our Genesect's not going to be able to attack, so we want to give it free retreat so they can't just counter catcher it up. And here I decide to just do 70 damage onto their Monkey Dory, and in hindsight I don't know if that's still the right choice or not, because I could have just left it there, not put any extra damage on their field, but at the same time they would easily be able to move some damage off of the Jellicent, making it that much harder for me to actually get enough energy to take the knockout. So here we are just going to use Artazon, look through our decks, see exactly how many energy we have left. We see that we have just enough left to be able to knock out this Jellicent. So we're going to start off by drawing 2. We draw into a counter catcher, and here we'll draw 1. We draw into the Air Balloon, draw 1, we draw into the Earthen Vessel. We will play down this Fez, that gets us another 3 draws. We're really just trying to go through our deck as much as possible to find the cards that we need. And here, what I'm going to have to do is, I see that there's 3 energy in our bin. I do have all 4 superior energy retrievals, so I'm going to have to waste a lot of resources. I go for the boss on the Guardy, and I'm going to use this Earthen Vessel. I get rid of the Lunatone. This is going to grab me 2 energy. I grab a metal specifically here. And then I'm going to use this superior energy retrieval, getting rid of the Judge plus the other Gholdengo. This gets me the 3 fighting energy back, and then I'm going to use this counter catcher, since I'm behind in prizes, to bring back up the jellyfish. That way then I can actually knock it out this turn. I was making sure that it wasn't, you know, magically resistant to metal. That's the reason why I paused while I was still doing that. But here we do take the knockout. That does leave us quite a bit of energy left in our hand as well. So that way then we can take more knockouts next turn as well. And there is a chance that with this boss in our hand that we could knock out their Gardevoir, or since they just played the Fez, we could knock that out. But here they Iono us, so they put us down to 4 cards. Luckily for Gholdengo, we're able to draw a bunch of cards next turn just due to our Gholdengos being on the field. Now then, let me tell you, it may look like we're in the driver's seat right now, but there's a ton of game still left in this match. This is such a very close match for me, and I had so much fun playing it, even though I really dislike playing against Gardevoir, but who doesn't dislike playing against Gardevoir right now? Here, our opponent does do the Earthen Vessel. They're able to get 2 of their energy. Most likely, they're going to be grabbing a Dark Energy here. They actually grab double Darks, so that way then they can attach this turn to one of their monkeys and then attach next turn to the other monkey. That way then they can start moving 60 damage each turn. Here, they have the counter catcher, and it's up to them onto which one they want to put up. They put the Fez up, so we do have this Turo. We could just Turo the Fez back into our hand. We also have a metal energy in hand that we can use to attach and then be able to retreat as well if that's what we want to do. But we also have this boss, so that's the reason why that could be a decent play, is doing that. Now in here, our opponent is setting up a Screamtail, so that way then they can actually do a bunch of damage. They're able to do 80 damage right now, and they're starting to move some damage with that monkey. And here they do 80 damage to one of the other Gholdengos. Now then, for the much more experienced players than myself, you may be looking in on the fact that why didn't they deal damage to the weakened Gholdengo that they just threw 30 damage on? Well, you'll realize why later on in this match. So definitely look forward to that. Now, there is the Picnic Basket, and it's such a good play right here. Even though it does make it cost more energy having to be discarded to knock out the Screamtail, it's just such a good play that I really need to do it. So here I am going to draw 2 cards off of that Gholdengo, then I will Picnic Basket, and as you saw, that took so much damage off of the field, but we also could have just held on to it for later if we really wanted to. Now in here, we did get that knockout on the Screamtail, leaving us a single metal energy left in our hand, which is completely fine because we can actually attach that to another Gholdengo in case they magically knock out the one this turn. Now then, here they do put a Psychic onto the monkey, that way then they can retreat if they want this turn into another attacker, and then they hit us with another Iono. Oh, that is such a powerful card. Now then, as for us, we actually get into a hand that is 2 Pokemon and a Arven, so the Arven is really nice here. So we can get into a superior energy retrieval if we want and be able to discard the Cram and the Solrock because they're not going to be that necessary. and be able to actually get some energy back from our discard to knock out this Monkey Dory if we can. Now in here they go and they play down another Frillish off of the Artazon, and they're just debating about what all they want to do here. So first they're going to use the Gardevoir. They're throwing some more damage onto their side of the field so they can actually start moving it with those Monkey Dories. So here they're not going to be able to one-shot our Gholdengo, but they are going to be able to set up a bunch of damage. And I really should have clued on into what their game plan is, because they're playing so heavily into it, of just putting a whole bunch of damage on each Gholdengo and it being a specific amount of 80 damage, because our Gimmighouls have 70 HP. Now then, here they did draw into some more cards with that Fez, and then they're just attacking with the Monkey Dory. Now, we don't really have another Gholdengo set up to attack here, so we need to find some ways of doing things. Now, we have both air balloons down on the field, and we were trying to draw into a Turo, because that would have been super helpful here, but we didn't find it, so we're going to have to risk it with this Gholdengo attack. And here I am going to use that Arven. We are going to be able to get that superior energy retrieval. And I'm just looking through. We only have 2 energy left in our deck. We can grab this Vitality Band. We will be able to put that down on one of our Gholdengos, most likely the healthy one on our bench. And then use this superior energy retrieval, getting rid of the Cram and the Buddy-Buddy Poffin. And we will be setting up this Gholdengo on the bench right now. And the reason why the Vitality Band is so huge is because now all we would need is just Boss, which we have in our hand, and then 4 energy, even though we do have 5 in our hand. If we only had a superior energy retrieval and 2 cards, then we would easily be able to have enough to be able to knock out. Here we are just making sure that we did everything that we could this turn to set ourselves up, and we do the attack. We hit the head, so we will be able to knock out this Monkey Dory. We have 3 energy left in hand. We top deck the boss off of our prizes. So now we know that we have 2 bosses, so in case they hit us with the Iono, we have 2 chances in our deck of being able to win the game. Here they use the Super Rod. They're putting back the big fish, and they put back the Screamtail and a monkey. Now in here with the Artazon, they will be getting down another Monkey Dory, and let's see, they do have the Dark Energy to go on top of it, so they will be able to move up to 60 damage this turn, and they will be able to deal 20 damage with that Frillish unless they put it up into the Jellicent, which they would then be able to do up to 180 damage. So they have multiple plays that they can make this following turn, and it's just which one are they going to make. Now in here, they're still just moving damage onto our different Gholdengos, trying to put them up to 80. That way then they can do a super strong play later on. So here they just hit us for 20 damage with the Frillish item locking us. Now then, we almost have everything that we need to win the game. So we're going to start off by drawing 2. We draw into 1 more energy. We need just a single energy now from our deck to win the game. So here we can just risk it and do a single draw if we wanted to, but I want to retreat this because we know that if we're going to win the game this way, that we would need to see a couple more energy, and we don't see it. We needed just a single energy to win the game, because what we could have done with 4 energy is be able to boss up that Fez and be able to knock it out by discarding 4 energy. Now in here, we do at least knock out that Frillish, and our opponent promotes up the Gardevoir, and this is where things are going to hurt for us, folks. So here they do use that Ultra Ball just to discard some more cards, trying to get rid of any bricks and stuff in case they decide to Iono us. And they do put down a Bravery Charm onto one of the monkeys, just making it that much harder for us to win the game. Now, we do still have a Solrock in our hand, so in case they do get rid of our Gholdengo, we can throw down the Solrock, and then we have the Superior Energy Retrieval, which can get us back the Fighting Energy, so we can start swinging. But it's going to take 2 turns of swinging, and they do have only 5 prize cards remaining, so that is a option that we can do. Now, in here, they are just moving a bunch of damage around, but all of our Gholdengos already have 80 damage. And there it is, folks. There's the card that they were working so hard to achieve, and it is TM Devo. So they do knock out all 3 of our Gimmighouls because they only have 70 HP and they had 80 damage on them. And now we are completely on the back foot. So here we are just going to Genesect. I want to look and see exactly what's left in my deck. There's a single Fighting Energy, and we do have this one Gholdengo, so we will put that down. We will put down the Solrock as well, and there's just so many different ways that our opponent can win here. We're going to have to most likely Turo, and we'll have to Turo the Fez, but that's still not that great of a play. So instead, what we're going to do is we are just going to boss up the monkey, and I think real hard about whether or not I want to hit the monkey here. So if I hit the monkey, then that gives me a chance of winning the game next turn, even if they boss up the Gimmighoul and get rid of it. But that does make it a lot easier for them to just win the game, because if they can get down a 3rd monkey and attach a dark energy to it, then they would have enough damage to be able to move and knock out our Gimmighoul, and then just attack with the Gardevoir and knock out the Solrock. So instead, we decide not to deal any damage. They do just manually attach that Psychic. They're going to bring up the Fez, and that is going to be game. So I'm just going to concede right here. Gholdengo was incredibly fun to play, and it's easily one of the best decks in the Mega Evolutions format right now. If you like decks that hit fast and one-shot everything in sight, you'll definitely love this one. For more top meta lists, check out my Meta Mondays playlist linked below, and don't forget to subscribe for more Meta Mondays, Rogue Thursdays, and my 1 month 1 deck series every Saturday.